Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another Forgotten Weapons short. Today we're talking about revolvers with safeties. This is one of those things that was really easy to just totally take you out of the moment, usually in a novel, when the protagonist would draw a pistol and audibly click the safety off. And then as a gun person you go, there are no safeties on revolvers. Well, that's not strictly entirely the case. So I figured, let's take a look at a couple examples of revolvers with manual safeties. The German Wrights Revolver is an excellent example. This is an 1883 pattern, the late model of Wrights Revolver, and sure enough, it has a big old manual safety on the side. This prevents you from cocking the hammer. Really, there's no idea why that's actually necessary, but there it is. One you're less likely to probably have heard of is this Spanish russo-chinois model of 1912. There was also a 1915 pattern of this, chambered for the 8mm French revolver cartridge, which was so lousy as to actually be rejected by the French army in World War I, which is quite the remarkable achievement. This is the earlier 1912 pattern made for the Nagant 7.62 Nagant cartridge, and sure enough, it has a manual safety here on the side. This one does not prevent you from firing the gun if the hammer is cocked, but it does prevent you from firing at double action or cocking the hammer. If I have that cocked, then it fires just as normal. One of the most common places to find manual safeties on revolvers is actually civilian and police guns in the 1900s through the 1920s or maybe 30s. This is actually a German gun, but you can see it's marked there, constabulary, 380 caliber, and sure enough, manual safety on the side. This one again cannot be engaged when the hammer is cocked. It's only there to prevent you from firing the gun in double action or manually cocking the hammer. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why someone would have a safety like this, because the double action trigger pull on these guns is pretty stiff to begin with, but it was an option that clearly people wanted. Here's another example of the type. This is definitely a little civilian pocket carry gun, basically completely unmarked. Belgian made, it would have been cheap in the first place. This one's actually chambered for the 8mm Lebel cartridge, 8mm revolver. And once again, has our little safety lever right here on the side. A couple other things to point out, in addition to the fact that none of these allow you to carry the gun cocked, which is probably a good idea considering who, when, and where these things were being carried. Also, the safety levers are, by today's standards, all backwards. So up is always fire and down is safe. So someone today would think, well, if I want to bring this into action quickly, I would want to be able to just swipe my thumb down over the lever. But every single one of these works the opposite direction. And of course, the last one is a particularly cool example because it is used in classic literature. In the Maltese Falcon, there is an example of a Webley-Fosbery automatic revolver, which does in fact also have a safety catch on it. Thanks for watching. Tune in tomorrow for another Forgotten Weapon.